Yes. You know, I just did a whole 45-minute lecture, and this thing, the pause button was on for the whole time. Do you think I'm repeating that? And it was beautiful too. I ain't repeating none of that. That's lost, y'all. Put that in the lost and charge it to the game. Shit. Now I'm gonna have to start all over. My energy was already turned up. I walked out, gonna show y'all the yard and come around. Now look, a whole 20, 30-minute lecture gone. So anyways, now that we're here, and this is what it is, I'm gonna pick it up from just heresy. New title now. That one was about, actually, I can't even remember. Like I said, nothing is stored. I live off a cloud memory. I don't hold nothing. So I'm only going forward. Forward only, forward. Remember that. Don't think. Don't think and involve. If you was thinking, I think, then you don't know how I'm able to output all that energy and words and then making these so-called lectures for y'all. This is because I just don't think. I go. If I was to think, I wouldn't know all that stuff. If I was to think, I would try to equate it to names and give you information from other things to do it. Y'all understand, this is soul talk. You understand what I'm saying? It only goes forward. So heresy, the astral world, doing things that they don't put in them books. This is all about what they did that I'm trying to undo and make y'all understand who we are. Heresy. We talking about Tantra, heresy. We talking about Kundalini awakening. When we discussing heresy, it's everything that you are, everything that you was, uncensored, uncut. And what they did, they put a mask over it now and call it religion, Buddhism, consciousness, all these names. So we're going to heresy because I'm heresy itself. Okay? So what is this in the astral world? Let's think about it. Well, you look at Egypt, you see Akhenaten, or whoever it is, the pharaoh in them pictures and buses, sitting in this throne. It's the most famous picture. I show y'all that in the cloud. You see, I call that the man in the wheelchair today. And dedication to my nephew, which I see, and he's the one that brought it to my attention. And it's not just that, it's also Abraham Lincoln sitting in the chair. Well, let's go to the source of it. The source of it is the pharaoh, Akhenaten. If you ever look up in the clouds, you see it. It forms the throne, like in the Bible. You see how somebody's sitting on the throne? All right, let's look at that. That's the same image. This image of the man sitting on the throne, he's holding a hard, stiff penis in his hand. You understand what I just said? So you got the king on the throne, sitting there, holding his penis in his hand, with a bunch of little elemental spirits or terracotta-looking dolls all around him doing his bidding. That's important to know. We're talking heresy here. So it's going to be heresy talk. Yes, yes. So what heresy talk is about? It's the truth of reality, how everything works. You're in intercourse. Yoga is union with energies, with nature. That's heresy if you was to see it. If you can see it, you will see then what you are as a soul, first thing. That's what you're going to see, all soul thing, ether thing. Then you're going to see, oh shit, I'm not a man and I'm not a woman. So you will see beings that look like a man kissing, eating each other, and then a new person is coming out of the two interactions. It's like they eat each other to make the third person. Just like you see energy, how it comes together, combust. You take hydrogen and helium and you get lithium. That's us. Speaking of that, in our pure form, God is hydrogen. Hydrogen. If y'all want to know who God is hydrogen. Hydrogen is you in your pure form. Hydrogen is the base of all of an existence. It got to be put with hydrogen. In the creation, you would look at hydrogen and helium as like two forces that come together to swirl and make a spiral spin. Nuclear is matter and antimatter. Now the spin, even though helium is mad light, which is what separates hydrogen from all other elements because it bonds to it, it also now start pulling in other elements until it turned to like a iron core. This is where you get your dwarf stars from, and stars and all that, because the core gets so hot from the helium spinning together and making a new, you could say, world, a sphere. These are the spheres we're talking about. So you learning to manipulate heavy metals, subatomic particles with your mind, which is all mind-based. So now on that note, in the astral world, I'm not going to get into, all that quantum physics and all that stuff. This is metaphysics. But, trust me, helium separate with hydrogen, and all now new compounds form to it, and it becomes a star, and it becomes a sun, still holding its gravity, pulling inwards. Bigger objects get attracted to it in its orbital field. You get a circumference spinning, and later on we get the universe. We get a solar system, So it's simple, and it's always occurring in space. The gases is mixing, frequencies, dimensions. These is all being created through gases, light. Everything is light. When you're talking about the Egyptian gods, you're talking about different colors. You're talking about crystals, light crystallizing at different epochs of creation. When the Big Bang, you could say, started, the first boom rendered a white light. So you get ivory, a whole bunch of white colored stones. Those have what's called nuclear energy in it, or dwarf star energy. And you even got the BlackBody energy. So many energies that started this whole Big Bang that led to different colors, from your sapphires to your blues, that we could still now equate to different parts of our body, because we're connected as subatomic particles to the first Big Bang. It's like a memory for us in cells. So if we know how to unite with cells, we know how to connect to all the memories of God, of the universe. So as each epoch comes, or each stages of the Big Bang, it starts to cool, it becomes blue. The flame is now like a blue flame. You get sapphires, and it turns green, so you get your emeralds, and then it gets real cool, it turns orange and red. So you get your the red stones, I can't remember their name without reading them and shit. All the red stones that we see, but each one became what's called your chakra. If you look, all these is the chakra color. And then all of them had to be now compounded. It's compounded to make one element. It's like it's 6 elements, but now it's missing 2 more to compound it. And out of nowhere, you get infrared spectrum and gamma. Those 2 is the sealer of any cell you see to make it hold its form, so it could emit color, so that we could see it. It's the key to everything. Just like that same infrared and gamma. That's your purple and your indigo. They're the colors we can't see, but it's the precursor to everything, what's called black light. Black light now is like a dwarf star after it collapses, yes, brother, and it goes back through all the stages of cooling. It's still going to compress itself inwardsly, because it's pulling on itself, and now it becomes its own internal reactor. And this black light now starts to emit. That's where you get your purple, your infrared, and all those other spectrums. So with you getting all them other spectrums now, this black light becomes the black hole. But it's the source light that we think is darkness, but it's really just the absence of white light, which now is being absorbed by the black light, the black hole, because it takes white light, which has all colors of light in it, and it takes it and it seals it into a circle, which is now called a rainbow. So when we see the rainbow, the actual occurrence of the rainbow is because it's being pulled into the black light and then sucked back out in its proper form and its bandwidth. And that's what now comes to the black African. The black African has that body, the black body, that his body is an internal reactor. So it don't react off of actual external environments. It has its own built-in environment. We know what commonly is melanin. Melanin is like the Spider-Man suit that encompasses the dark skin being the most. This encompasses every human being because you have to have it in order to live. Because it's like Set, it's the dark side of you. It actually is the genius, the one who give you life. It makes everything works on you, you know. But it's supposed to be not so concentrated. If it's too concentrated, that's when you have a lack of vitamin D going on, because it cannot absorb enough sun with a short period of time we're outside to synthesize vitamin D. So it's like dark skinned people have trouble synthesizing vitamin D, but if they're outside and very active, their body is an internal reactor that sucks energy in. That's why a lot of them emit heat. When a bunch of black people's together in the room, it's the black body that emits this heat that everybody give off infrared. You actually an infrared generator, a gamma ray generator. So now you don't need no source energy. You don't even need food. Your body internalizes itself and does everything. It's from the internal. It's a nuclear reactor burning in the core of it, just like a North Star. So that's what you really are in reality. You're more a comet. A comet itself is like the most powerfulest thing in the universe, believe it or not, because you see how a comet is. It don't have a source energy coming from the external side of it, from external things affecting it. It got ice over it. Even as it fly by the sun or stars, the ice is still on it because the inside of it is not running hot. It maintains itself all the time as a steady temperature. It's feeding off of the ice on top to feed the core of it. So the comet itself can't die, and it sustains itself internally. So I just use that analogy as how melanin actually works. So you can have every kind of pressure up on you, every type of thing, and it won't penetrate you. And actually, the melanin is taking what it needs out of it to sustain itself internally. And so that's how the black body is. That's how the African work. The true dark skin. Now, it has its consequences. You know, I had to look into this so that I make sure I bring it to you correct. The consequences of it is that being that now if you can't get enough sun, you're going to be vitamin D deficiency. It's the same thing, worse when we come to these reflections of light. I tell you, all the gods is the different colors of the light. Frequencies, every shade of it is a different God. And you're going through each shade of it. The earth is going through each shade and frequency. That's when we change star systems. Each one render a different density, different depth. Just like if you look at atomic table, each one has an atomic number to it, atomic weight and everything. Those is very important. So now that you're going through these frequencies in the black body, it can't receive certain energies. And the one that is the most important is the ones of the gods. It's the ones of God himself, which is a very subtle energy. It's 1,000,000 times lighter than the sun energy. So if you're not able to feel the energy of God through your skin and it penetrates you, then you can't actually ascend. And so this is where your different epochs came in, from your savagery to your barbarianism to your civilized people. Believe it or not, it was actually as the people became more lighter skinned that they was able to receive the energy from God. And I'm not saying it in a superficial way. You got to remember the black body is self-sustained from internally. So God is wrapped up in the package, but it's also wrapped up with every element from the stars. So our ancestors worship mostly the gods, the chakra gods, the different frequencies, the trees, the rocks. That's all they represented. They never worshiped a one God and said there was one God. Even though they called Mother the Amajuba, whatever they called her, the thunder god. Everybody worshipped the thunder god as the mother back in the ancient days, from the Igbo onto the different pygmies. Everybody worshipped that same mother. But that's not like what I'm saying as far as the one God. The one God would have civilized them in a way different. They was doing more savage things, yes, that made them disqualified to get up into ascension. And so over time, they started being more civilized as they went on. So civilization took from a savage period to a barbarian period. Barbarian period was when they started waking up and being conscious of their environment. So more wars, they started all of a sudden know how to build tools. All these wasn't just done unconsciously. they was taught these through the gods. The gods is the different frequencies that is emitted in the frequency of light and air through Shu. Shu is very important for us because without the air, none of the gods could get to us. They considered the air the demion, the demons, the jinns. And those is our connection to our higher self. So you got to understand the importance of what took place. So now that the gods wasn't able to penetrate the dark black body and it had to change frequency, that's when you get these people that they call the Negritos, or who I got it as the Kafars. The Kafars is like everybody in the whole Africa base except for West Africans. These was called the Negroes, the Nigers. Those had a different things from like it was, some of them was even the same color. Don't get it twisted. It's not a color that I'm telling you. It's a consciousness. It's a spirit. There was dark skin, dark black ones that was on this higher spirit, but they saw it then as a reflection on them. They could reflect the light. So if they could cast the reflection, then it could get into them. Just like magic. And I learned this from how the spirits attack me. If it was some reflection in the room at night, I was fucked up. I had to block out all the reflections. I couldn't take reflection. You know why? Because I was like anybody else, green. I believe everything they told me, and I thought with my ego, cock diesel, getting all the women. So I believed that shit. I was a demon. When reality came out, I didn't want that shit. I ran. I was sick. I was fucked up. I didn't want to let go of what I was doing. That shit had to grab me, man. I mean, I used to cover windows, reflections, all type of lights, cover them so that it seemed like it had influence over me and my mind and the way I was thinking. This is important because during all this influence over me and thinking, I remember now that it was time for them telling me now. They're telling me this is the craziest biblical story in the world because it's 1,000% biblical. It's like these spirits is telling me to go and start posting videos telling people about the conscious shit. I'm like, nah, I can't do that, because of the simple fact is I don't talk to nobody. I'm coming from the hood. I don't know anything about what's going on, so I'm really just a hood dude that know how to keep secrets. You understand what I'm saying? So talking period is not my thing. I'm not a talker, I'm a doer. You understand? So now that you're coming out of retirement of just being a doer, to talk, and I was like, yo, so how do I do it? So it took me for a quick second somehow to the books and about I think it was Moses and his brother Aaron and all that craziness, and like one couldn't talk, which was Moses, and then the other Aaron, he was good at talking, but I don't know, something was wrong with him. So it was like, yes, brother, it was like you take the two of them and you learn from both of them and make them one. So when I first did my video, if you ever look, it was like a peace, love to the happy conscious community. I just want to say thank you. I was nervous. I didn't know what I was doing. This is something that I was forced to do. You could just see how I was. My first 3 videos, I was kind of like nervous and uncomfortable. It's not something I wanted to do, but that's what they told me I had to do. If you look from then to now, it's like, this is what I do now. This is my thing. It's nothing. But back then, I couldn't conceive myself doing it, much less do it. But I did it because they said that's what to do. And I followed. That's being most faithful, most righteous, or whatever. You go with your instincts. You follow your intuition. It leads you to your destination or what you're supposed to do. And so it's not about money. If you're thinking you're doing something for money, that's a misnomer. You do it because you were sent here to do it. So people's going to come into your life that you not even want to know, you don't want to participate with, but somehow you entangle with them. But that's how it's meant for it to happen. It was sent to you, and you can't deny it. You can't think of it in a good or bad way. You just got to straighten it out and make it right. That's what your job is. And so that's what angels do. Just do what they got to do. So with that in mind, you understand more of the journey that you're going to face, everything that you're going to go through. I'm going to stop it right here because this is getting long. University of Conscious Science.